History has just repeated itself in the political mode of Kenya as the animosity between the president and the deputy president grows or gets escalated. Now, as you all have been following from the beginning of this month, the impeachment against the deputy president of Kenya, Rigathi-Gachagua, has been on a hearing in the National Assembly. Today was actually where Deputy President Rigathi-Gachagua got the hearing from the three judges that has been appointed by the Chief Justice, and where his plea for the National Assembly to disrupt the hearing of all the levels of accusations that he has been leveled. But guess what? They have denied him. The judges have denied him, and they say they cannot stop it. So the National Assembly has continued the hearing of all the cases of the impeachment against the deputy president of Kenya. Now, why I said this is the history has repeated itself is that we have seen in the political mode of Kenya from Jomo Kenyatta time versus his guy Jaramogi Odinga. We have seen it in the Uhuru Kenyatta versus William Ruto himself, who was the deputy. Now we are seeing this again between William Ruto versus the deputy Rigathi Gachagua. Now, what caused this? What are the things that deputy president is impeached for? What does it mean for the politics of Kenya? What does it mean for William Ruto itself? And what does it mean for the people of Kenya? Is something that we are going to look at in this video presentation that I'm going to look at. So stay tune in. Thank you very much for those of you who are here. But if you haven't first subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Now let's look at this in detail about what's happening. All that we know is going to be spilled over here tonight. Now, first of all, impeachment is, as you know, it's the first step actually to remove that person who is holding that public office or an authority from his office or from his position or her position. Now, what do we know about the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi-Gachagua? Now, he has been levied by 11 cases. So the impeachment comes with 11 levels. So what happened actually chronologically? It started from October 6th, since he has been impeached, and this was actually approved by 282 member of parliaments out of the 349 seats in the Kenya's National Assembly. Now, his response immediately was, of course, to block the impeachment. Now, if you know the political mode of Kenya, the president and deputy president have kind of equal, I wouldn't say equal, but the main thing is the president cannot remove or cannot fire the deputy president. So it's kind of, as somebody has tried to explain it, it's one president like with two heads, but two different heads that you cannot connect. It's kind of confusion, but this has been a political mode of Kenya. Is it a curse or a blessing? It's something that the history tells us. So I don't think it will be, it is working for Kenya. Now, what does the oustering of course, if all this impeachment against Deputy President Gachagua passes through, that it will be the end of his deputy presidentialship, and then he will be ousted. So what does the ouster will do to Kenya. Now, this will have definitely, after such a historic occurrence of such things, the animosity between a president and deputy president, this will definitely has a potential to alter Kenya's political mode in governance, in its dynamics. Now, and then there will be definitely a clearer hierarchy, because right now the president cannot do anything against the deputy president, and there will be clearer job description as well. Then what do the proponents or advocates say? What is it good for, this impeachment? What good it will bring for Kenya? Then it is to restore, according to these analysts, the balance between head of state and the principal assistant. Now, the principal assistant is technically it is the deputy president, but this deputy president, not only it's because Ruto-Gachagua, but any of them in this political mode of Kenya, they are not actually assisting the president. They are running their own thing. So that will bring, it will restore the head of state and the principal assistant, the balance between them. Now, also the deputy president is provided by the constitution as a running mate of the president. Together they appear together and they kind of running mates, they support each other. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, when did it start, the animosity between President Ruto and Deputy President Gachagua is after the Gen Z protest, in which according to the people from William Ruto's side, that the deputy president did not show any support for the government. In fact, he aligned himself with the protests. He was on their side. So the thing is, the president cannot dismiss him. So this is why he needs the approval of the National Assembly. Now, also the deputy president, not only Gachagua, also when William Ruto was the deputy president during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, they see themselves as equal to the president. This is where the confusion comes. And thus what happens is it causes friction. It's like a dual presidency in one state. You can say that. Also, as I earlier said, somebody tried to explain it from media in Kenya as a president in two heads that you cannot connect. Now, and quote, this is one person said, one analyst said, in terms of describing this situation. Let me just read it out, this for you. Now, the situation where a president often puts the country in a situation whose where the government seems, let me just find it, where the government seems to always have two heads. This impeachment will get back the sanity by putting deputies back to their place of knowing the constitution envisage them to be principal assistants to the president and nothing more. So they don't want it to overlap, so they don't want to have two presidents. So they basically needs to be as a principal assistant, but nothing more. Now, what are the shortcomings out of this president and deputy president without able being to fire them. That was, the thing is that what it does is for the deputy president, it's a job security, knowing that the president cannot fire or dismiss the deputy. It will also allow to elevate themselves sometimes above the president, running their own things, coming up with their own statement in a way that it doesn't necessarily align with the president. Although in some cases you might use this for a positive way. When you find the president in a wrong way, then it's important that you have one person who can say things without being able, without being dismissed by the president. But that is rare. So mostly it's a shortcoming. So this will cause friction. But of course, it guarantees them a job. It's just the way how the Kenyan politics work. The deputy versus the president. Now, the next thing that I will look at is that how will the deputy president Gachagua's ouster will influence future alliance in Kenya, meaning alliances that are formed in Kenyan politics, in governance, during elections. So what happens is that political parties may opt for coalition agreements as opposed to, running as part of the same ticket as president. Like from being called running mate, they might opt to for coalition agreements, which will give them an upper hand to be in charge of their own political parties. So this will help them to maintain some level of political control over their own political parties or regions where their fan base is based on. Now, it also helps them to gain some kind of independence, because they will be just the one who are communicating with their own political party members. Now, deputy president also reduces the role in governance, and it also means more political autonomy. So it's like less participation in direct governance on what was the president is doing, but it will also give them more autonomy in politics, as they will be in charge of their own political parties. Now, the next thing that we are looking at is that this will bring, of course, the ouster will mean that it will open a new era of accountability for Kenyan leaders. Now, citizens following this will be, if this impeachment goes through, then it will mean that citizens will be emboldened by this and to hold their leaders accountable. And we will be seeing and hearing more and more impeachment against, those who are holding public offices if the people do not see, if the citizens do not see any transparency or accountability. And of course, given what the Gen Z protests have done for a couple of months against the president, against that the 2024 financial bill imposed by IMF, we can see that the Kenyans are really capable of to hold accountable anyone in public office who they have seen doing wrong. So it might be, worth it for them. So on the other hand, also it's complementary. Leaders or presidents will be more careful and accountable and watch their action very carefully. They will not just step in and talk and take action, since they know that what this impeachment will do to them. Then they will be more careful. Now, the next thing that we will look at, that what this ouster will do, is how will the vice president's ouster will mean for Mount Kenya. Now, for Mount Kenya's politics, why do we talk about Mount Kenya? Mount Kenya is a region where most of the support of the current political party comes from, that being the United Democratic Alliance. Now, William Ruto has served for different political parties, the Orange Democratic Movement. There is also another one, and now this the the UDA, the United Democratic Alliance, is now where he comes from when he ran in 2022. That's how he won representing this political party. Now, so Mount Kenya support was for Ruto and the deputy for the running mate, and particularly Deputy President Rigathi-Gachagua has a lot of influence in this region. And they say, analysts, he was the one who was able to pull support for William Ruto during their election running time. Now, Mount Kenya is region is it consists of its the former eastern and central provinces of Kenya, with counties, the Meru, Imbu, Laikipia, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, and Tharaka Nithi. All these counts falls under the Mount Kenya. Now, looking at what does it mean for this Mount Kenya, where a big support farm base comes from for United Democratic Alliance, this will mean that it will shake up that support or that fan base, leaving a big vacuum, and that will definitely have an impact during the next election in 2027 in Kenya. Also, there will be power struggle in Mount Kenya between different political parties or various factions. Now, William Ruto, if this man is impeached deputy president, and if still the people are supporting him, then definitely they will become now against William Ruto. Now, the next thing we will look at is also how will this ousting of the deputy president will affect Ruto's political calculation in 2027. Now, following the deputy president's ousting, any high expectation for election 2027 is just thrown out of the window. That is water shaded, and it's eroded, because now Ruto will not have really hope to have that base or that fund, that support from the Mount Kenya. Also, of course, the Mount Kenyan's loyalty will be now with someone else. If Rigathi-Gachagua may run against William Ruto, may create, coalitions with other parties. So the loyalty of now the Mount Kenyan people is gone. It will not be something that President William Ruto will hope for in election 2027. Also, the region could itself align with opposition political parties. You can add this already, what happened in 2024, the Gen Z protest against William Ruto's governance. And definitely that's a no-go. That guarantees no William Ruto in the second term, to say the least, actually. In all this, actually, what we should not forget is that what would be the role of Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is also another opponent against William Ruto, in which these days he kind of calmed down as he is focusing for his candidacy of AU chairmanship for the African Union. So he's busy lobbying for that. And William Ruto definitely has endorsed him for AU chairmanship. But the question is now, the AU chairmanship will be in February 2025. The Raila question comes now: what if he does not win? Then he will be another opponent for William Ruto. That will not be a good news. So the prominent opposition figure for as long as we remember in our lifetime is Raila Odinga, as you know. So he was against Uhuru Kenyatta, was against William Ruto, and probably before those times, but he never got the position of president. And he's always like the second best. So he definitely will use this power vacuum and try to fill in and become something that he was never able to achieve. So that will be a good opportunity for him, but not a good thing if he loses the AU chairmanship. So I am sure William Ruto himself, as for me, he will be voluntary to go door to door in the member states in the African Union to looking for a support for Raila Odinga's candidacy for AU chairmanship. He definitely want to get rid of that old man from Kenya. So because that will be, if he doesn't win, if Raila Odinga does not win, then that will be Ruto's nightmare. Trust me. Then the next thing that we will look at, or what we have to question, is that in all this deputy president's impeachment and all this historic recurrence in Kenya, in the political mode of Kenya, is that what as Gachagua's impeachment case can do. Now, the chief of justice in Kenya, her name is Martha Koome. She actually appointed, because he pleaded for the National Assembly not to hear the impeachment, not to continue hearing the impeachment. So actually it was October 16 today that the hearing off by, she appointed 3 judges for him, and the hearing happened, and the judges have already responded. They said they cannot interfere with the hearing by the National Assembly. So the hearing of the impeachment has continued. So that is not something that worked out in favor of the deputies. Actually, it's a first hearing, the deputy president. So that is a huge blow against Deputy President Gachagua. Now, what are, in fact, in all this, you may ask, what are the things that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is accused of? Number one, for his, I will not list all of them, there are 11, but the main one is that he's accused of his public statements creating or promoting division. That's one. Number two, his public statements undermine core values of the Constitution. Number three, it contradicts government policies, meaning his statements that he gives independently. As I told you, it's one president with 2 heads. Number four, it's failing to uphold his duties as deputy president in his unilateral remarks, so contradicting the government policy, contradicting the policies that has been put by President William Ruto. So contradicting those in his unilateral remarks. Number five, interference with judiciary independence. That is more violating with judiciary independence. So these are the things, and others as well, amongst others, that he is impeached for. So to conclude, what you can say is that, you know, this political mode of Kenya, having a president and deputy president, has created nothing but an animosity between these two presidents, like the deputy And the main one, that's what it tells us history between Kenyatta and Jaramogi Odinga, between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, between now William Ruto and Garati Gachagua, and others. I mean, in fact, this is actually a political mode that does not work not only in Kenya, but also in Africa. You can see, you can name Thomas Sankara's case, the Thomas Sankara case against, that was his body, the Blaise Compaore. There are many more that we can, mention. You can see currently also a perfect example is between President Diomaye Faye of Senegal and the Prime Minister Osman Sonko. You can name more and more. I mean, the list continues. It never worked. This has been the case of, I also remember in Ethiopia, Prime Minister, when Abiy Ahmed came, it was the animosity between president that later developed Prime Minister and who was at that time former the president of Oromia region, Lami, President Lama, the last name I forgot. So you can you have it in Uganda as well, you have it in Rwanda as well, in most cases. But the thing is that you may work together you may work together to gain power, to be elected. You may run together, but there is a huge difference between capturing power and capturing power together and governing. So the latter is where, when you try to govern together, where always conflicts arise, conflict of interest arises from. That's why I started with saying a historic recurrence. Is it a blessing or a curse for Kenya? But now this actually, after all this analysis, it answers it's kind of a curse for Kenya. What will happen after the impeachment? It's a huge thing for William Ruto. A huge thing means in a negative negative way. I mean, I don't say that in a positive way, but things time will tell. It's something that we need to follow up and see. Thank you very much again for tuning in. Hello, Mikey Simba. Thanks for being here. Hello, Salam. Also back to you. Salam, back to you, going home to Mount Zion. Kalenji is Ruto tribe, but Uhuru tribe, I think Odinga will favor Uhuru over Ruto, but he has ambitions for the top office also. Yeah, definitely. All of them. Yeah. Well, so let us know in the hello Kimit. Hello, good to see you here. Welcome. Let us know in the comment section really what do you think of this in general, this kind of coming power, capturing power together and then governing, how the conflicts arises there. So please share your view. Thank you again for tuning in. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give it a like if you like what we bring you here. Share the video with others. And please support us through our PayPal account. That will help us to be here more often. I will see you on the next one, and bye-bye.